Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Enoch Sikolia, and I am the Kenyan historian. But today we're not going to talk about the Kenyan historian. I want to talk about myself. And I want to address some of the issues that I've seen pop up in different platforms, and especially why I left Citizen TV at a time when my career was up, let's say, going up the pedestal. And some people, I remember when I told some people that I was leaving Citizen TV, they were like, why? You are leaving the biggest brands as far as media is concerned in Kenya. And I was like, you know what, people have different career path. I'm trying to follow a different one. I don't know if it was going to work, but I had to make a decision following my heart. So I've seen quite a number of people talk about it, and some people come up with different versions, speculations. Some say that I left Citizen because of the politics that were there in the country, especially between the Azimio camp of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, and the Kenya Kwanza administration of not administration, but the Kenya Kwanza group led by the current president, William Ruto. But what is the truth and what is the true picture? Today, I want to tell you why I left Citizen TV and where I am and what I'm currently doing. So stay there. Well, all right. So sometime in July 2020, and the COVID pandemic is here. Many things were happening. There were a lot of lockdowns here and there. And then one morning, fine morning, I walk into the office of the human resource manager at Citizen TV, holding a brown envelope, and I tendered my resignation. I know the human resource manager looked at me and she was like, why? She wondered why, because, and truthfully, I was at the best media house. I was enjoying my career. I was growing up as a journalist. I had the best managers in terms of news management. Talk of Linus Kaikai, talk of Joe Ageo, talk of Pamela Sigi, talk of Jamila Mohammed, talk of Yusuf Ali, Moriah Kariuki, quite an elaborate team, Joseph Bonyo. And so many people wondered, why would you leave Citizen at that time when you are growing up in terms of career, in terms of like being a journalist, and you have the best people to mentor you, to grow your career, and then all of a sudden you are resigning. So one thing that I wanted to address is some people said that I was sacked. So I wasn't sacked. I'm the one who tendered the resignation. And I remember Citizen did not want me to go. They wanted me to stay. And at that time, I remember there was a time I had like, should I not? But deep in my heart, I had already made that decision that I was moving and I was leaving Citizen TV. I remember we had several meetings with Joe Ageo, who was my boss. He was the editorial director at Citizen TV. We had so many meetings. He really wanted me to remain because we were coming up with several documentaries. We were coming up with several series. And I remember having done quite a number of top-notch documentaries. For example, We Can't Breathe, that looked at companies that were slowly killing people by poisoning the air. Looked at the Garbage River, which was a story about Nairobi River. Quite a number of stories that I had done, the Mau evictions, and especially the story on the truth about what was happening in the Mau forest. And so at that time, my career was, let me say, going up. And then some people believed that by leaving, my career would go down. But I know what I really wanted, and I had to move. So that time, I remember had a discussion with a certain person who told me, my colleague, my friend Enoch, once you leave, the people you talk to, the ministers, the cabinet secretaries, I mean, the principal secretaries, the politicians, the CEOs that you talk to will stop picking your calls. And I'm telling you is the truth, because when I left, some of the politicians I truly considered my friends, the ones I said, okay, they would call me even at night if they had an issue. I was like almost some of the people they considered bright, and especially in the journalism sector. The people they came to whenever they needed some consultation. So I had and I thought probably I was on their speed dials. But shock on me, when I left, some of them stopped picking my calls, even up to date. So, but that is an issue that doesn't bother me much. I remember some time back when I wrote on Facebook after the appointment of Aden Duale and Ababu Namwamba as cabinet secretaries. I remember I wrote on Facebook and I said, congratulations to these gentlemen. They were there when I started my YouTube channel, and they were there to help me. I remember they will give me content. So whenever I call them, they will ask, for example, they will volunteer to give me content. I will go there, interview them, talk to them, and blah, my channel was growing. So I said, thanks to these two gentlemen and some other politicians like Beatrice Elachi, I was able to get constant content, and especially in terms of political documentaries. And let me tell you, some people took it out of context. I remember some people saying and writing on social media, Facebook and Twitter, that colleagues, Enoch Sikolia's colleagues at Citizen TV refused to pick his calls after after he left. I'm like, after he was sacked or something like that. So I was like, first, I wasn't sacked. Second, some of the best friends I have in media, the ones I worked with at Citizen, talk of Leto, talk of Chemtai Goin. We talk of Pamela Asigi, talk of Linus Kaikai, my former boss. I still talk to them. They are my friends. So why would I say that they refuse to pick my calls after leaving Citizen? Actually, what I meant is the politicians and political friends, the people I thought that were my friends. So whenever I called them, I wanted them to appear on my channel, and some of them even I wrote them WhatsApp messages. They only Bluetoothed me. But I thank those who came through for me, and today my channel is what it is today because of them. I did quite amazing documentaries on the political world because of them. Look at, if you check, for example, someone like Beatrice Elachi appears in almost all my documentaries. You look at Aden Duale, has appeared in many of them. Look at Kipchumba Murkomen, he appears there, Ababu Namwamba. So is it wrong to mention people who have stood with you at the time that many people were not considering, for example, your channel to be influential? Because some people look for people who have influence, people who will have impact in their lives before they come through for you. But these gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen did not mind about me getting 2,000 views. Today I'm getting over 100, 200, 300,000 views. Yeah, and it started with 2,000. Sometime I will get 200 views, and here I am today with 91,000 subscribers, headed to 100,000 subscribers. Now, back to why I left Citizen TV. So the biggest reason is, sometime before COVID became what it became, I saw an advert on social media about Bright Vision Media. Bright Vision Media is the company that runs CGTN Africa, the China Global Television Network. So I was like, I want to experience international journalism. I had worked at Citizen for 6 years, worked at K24 for 4 months, worked NTV 6 years, K24 4 months, worked at Citizen 2 years. I combined more than 8 years experience on the reporting on matters, let me say on the reporting on the local platform, having done stories in Kenya, everywhere in the country. So I thought, wow, what would it be for me to report on matters affecting the continent and beyond the African continent? I wanted that experience. So when I saw the advert and applied, I think because of COVID, they didn't come in earlier. And then sometime in May, I received a call from Bright Vision Media, and here I was. I did the interview. I was happy. I was happy. And so when I resigned at Citizen, I remember even Citizen tried to ensure that I remain at Citizen TV, but I wanted a new experience. I wanted to experience Africa, reporting on matters Africa, reporting in Congo, and especially I really wanted to report in Congo. I really wanted to report Congo, Somalia. I remember these were my countries, the countries I really wanted to go to. Congo, Somalia, Sudan, Central African Republic, South Africa, the countries that I thought had unique stories, and the stories where if you write on your CV as a journalist and people look at you, they will say, okay, this guy has done it as a journalist. So that is the biggest reason why I left Citizen TV. I really wanted to experience international journalism, reporting on an international platform, and CGTN Africa just gave me that 3 years ago, and I couldn't resist. So the reason why I left silently, I had some people say, oh, he left silent because Royal Media Services was campaigning for Raila Odinga or Baba. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? What are you, some people say, what are you maniacs talking about? So I left silently because that is me. I don't go shouting about myself on social media that much. I don't go like putting out everything that is happening in my life, putting out on social media. When I left K24 to NTV, I didn't announce anywhere. I didn't tell people I was leaving K24 to NTV. The fact is, some of the fans who had, of my fans and supporters, just saw me on NTV, and they knew that I had left K24. The same when I resigned from NTV in 2018 and left for Citizen TV. I didn't write anywhere that I had left Citizen NTV. I didn't even update my bio saying Citizen TV. It remained NTV for quite some time, even after I had worked at Citizen TV for, like, let me say, for some months. So people just saw me at Citizen TV. I remember doing the first story, and guys were in my inbox, when did you leave Citizen? There's a guy who told me, hey, bro, nimechange TV nikifikiria nimeweka wrong TV kwa sababu I wanted to watch Citizen na kuona hapo nasema kwani nimeweka TV bila makosa, bila kujua. You see, that's me. I don't go shouting. I don't go shouting on social media that, oh, this is what is happening in my life. This is that people, that things that especially I would love people to just see and know what God is doing in my life. So that is me. And the same thing happened when I left Citizen for CGTN. I went silently. And some people who watch CGTN were able to pick out, oh, this guy left for international media. I saw after 2 months of staying at CGTN, I saw, I think it's Opera News, they wrote that they had seen me reporting for an international TV station known as CGTN Africa. And that is me. I can't change it. That's me. That's who I am. I don't talk much about myself. So that's how I left, why I left Citizen silently. It's because that is me. That is who I am. Now, those who say that I had issues with my bosses, let me tell you one thing. I will not lie. I worked at Citizen TV for only 2 years, but I loved it at Citizen TV. Just as I loved at NTV. Every employer has, let me say, every employer is good in some way, in different ways. Let me tell you, this is what I will tell you about NTV and Citizen TV. I learned a lot in both stations. I enjoyed my life there. I built my career at NTV for 6 years. I built my career at Citizen for 2 years, and I loved it. Every time I look back at my career, I see these two stations. I see K24. It was nice experience, and I loved it. Remember at NTV, I remember all those times. Sometimes when I pass at NTV, sometimes my heart just starts to pump whenever I'm in town. I'm like, I still feel like I work at NTV. It was my home for 6 years. Every time I pass Dennis Pritt and I see that logo, Citizen TV, I'm like, oh, I heard that. This was a wonderful place. I had the best employer there in form of SK Mashari. I had the best bosses. I have mentioned already the others. And now imagine working under the leadership of Wachira Waruru, the veterans of this industry. What would a journalist like me want in this field? So one thing also that I wanted is I wanted to develop something. I wanted to develop the art of documentary production. I had worked for more than 8 years, as mostly in the news area. Very little. Many people say that I did quite a number of documentaries and interesting documentaries, but I thought I could do more. So one of the reasons I left also is that I wanted to develop, and I knew that YouTube was a good platform to do that. That is why when I came at CGT and stayed for 1 year, and then the second year, I started a YouTube channel, this one, The Kenyan Historian. And the focus was on producing documentaries, and I loved it. Let me tell you, I loved producing documentaries. It's so interesting. The only thing I haven't been lucky in terms of getting funding, people to fund my projects, because I have so many projects. Even in my head today, I have very interesting projects, but I cannot execute them because I don't have the funding. So one day I'm praying that I get funding for the Kenyan Historian, and let me tell you, it's gonna be big. And I'm committed to making it big. Thank you so much. Today's conversation has been why I left Citizen TV. I intend to be having such conversations, not about why I left places, but on different topics and different issues, and especially those affecting the country. Just me, from my thought, from what I think, not as a profession, but as a journalist. So you will be seeing quite often me having these discussions, not discussions, but me talking about certain issues in the country, the way I have done it. My name is WACHANA, and I am the Kenyan Historian. Remember to subscribe.